We're ready to carry on with our presentations. Next, we will hear about enhancing learning and teaching through big data and learning analytics. Our speaker, Mr. Avery Chan, is an acting project officer at the Center of Learning and Teaching of the Vocational Training Council. He specializes in teacher training and resources development on digital learning and teaching for all VTC teaching and instruction staff. He previously worked with the British Council and various local secondary schools. Okay, Avery, please.
Yes, thank you, Piers. Good morning, everyone. It's really nice to meet you all and Tony today. Yes, and I'm going to share with you how learning and teaching can be enhanced through big data and the use of learning analytics. So let me begin by telling you different parts of my presentation. So I would like to first introduce the background of big data and learning analytics, followed by sharing with you the benefits of learning analytics. And after that, I would like to share some practical use of the learning analytic tools in the most commonly used platform in VTC. I have prepared some screenshots and videos to show you how we use them. And finally, I would like to share with you my personal view on the future of learning analytics, and we can discuss more in the future or during the Q&A session. So to begin with the rapid technological advancement and the impact of the pandemic over the last few years, the blended mode of learning and teaching has been widely adopted worldwide. And while the face-to-face sessions have been arranged for our students as much as possible, lots of our lessons have been conducted in virtual meeting platforms like here in Zoom today or Microsoft Teams. And in particular, the self-directed online learning and assessments have been carried out extensively in the learning management system LMS like Moodle, Canvas, or Blackboard that I think many of you have used. And as our students navigate through these LMS and virtual meeting platforms to attend lessons, accessing the materials, to watch e-tutorials, and interacting with their peers, and particularly complete the assignments and assessments on these platforms, an enormous amount of data has been collected for analysis, which can also be referred as big data, which are extremely large data sets that may be analyzed computationally to reveal patterns, trends, and associations, especially relating to human behaviors and interactions. And of course, it is crucial that actionable insights can be gained after understanding these patterns and trends. And when big data is applied in education, here comes learning analytics. It is the measurement, collection, analysis, and reporting of data about our learners and their context for the purpose of understanding and optimizing learning and the environment in which occurs. And obviously, there are lots of benefits to both students and teachers, and even to our institution. So I'd like to share with you some of the common benefits. There are lots of them, but let me show you the most common ones. And as you can see in this graph of the cycle of learning analytics, after all the data are processed and analyzed, they are usually visualized in the form of graphs and reports with the help of some of the learning analytic tools or software. They are more easy for teachers and students to understand. And for us, for the teachers and for many of you, it helps us to understand the overall performance of all the classes. And at the same time, we can also understand individual performance of a single student, like which topic do they struggle and which subject they are now underperforming, so that we can provide more meaningful, personalized, and timely feedback to our students. And for our students, with this personalized help from teachers and more understanding of their own learning progress and performance with all the graphs and data and the reports, their overall satisfaction and the retention rates will increase, and so does their performance. And so learning and teaching can be enhanced. And I think for institution, they can use all the graphs and data to understand like the enrollment situation of the students and how the program is designed so that a positive loop is formed to benefit all the parties. And right now, I'm going to share some of the practical use of the learning analytic tools in the most commonly used platforms in VTC. The first one is Moodle. It is an LMS that allows students to access materials, videos, and to complete assessments and assignments. And since last year, we have integrated a software called IntelliBoard, which is a learning analytics tool. We have integrated it into Moodle so that teachers and students can access the dashboard full of graphs and reports with only one click. And the next platform is Panopto. It is a video content management platform that allows us to capture lectures and upload learning videos. And just like YouTube, Panopto has its own analytics tool that can track views and downloads of each individual videos that teachers upload. And particularly, we can see the engagement within that video, which I'm going to go into detail in a minute. And the third platform that we use a lot is Microsoft Teams. And since most of our online lessons are carried out in this platform, its own tool called Insights can track behavioral data of a student, including the emotional state of our students, which is really interesting, and I'm going to share with you in a minute. So to begin with, as I mentioned, teachers can go into this learner dashboard with only one click and see the graphs that show an overview of the performance of all the classes they teach, so they can have a quick understanding of how well their students are doing. And for example, they can have a look at the average grade of all the classes within this graph, so they know that which class they may have a better performance, or some of the classes may need more support. They can see it clearly. And apart from the results, teachers can see the learner engagement in each class with the help of this graph, so that they can know that which topic or task only has maybe a few students attempting right now, and they know whether they need to interfere or provide extra support. And if they want to have a more detailed information of a single class or individual students, there are also different reports for them to see. As you can tell that there are different data showing about the total login time of their students. And as you can see from these buttons, they can also go into more detail of each class to see how every student in this class is performing. And if they want to go one step further, they can even take a look at the profile of a single student, so that they understand how this student is performing in each single activity, so that they understand like what to help them. And meanwhile, teachers can also see reports that show the comparison of the performance of an individual student with the class average. So it's easy. They just have a look at this graph to see whether the student is below average and need more support. And apart from that, I think teachers can understand more about students' behavior compared with the class average, like the interactions in the LMS and their total time spent on the course, so that they can also understand like whether they spend a lot of time on the course, but they're not doing a good job, or they only like log into the course without any interactions. And all these graphs and reports give actionable insights for our students to follow up. And apart from teachers, our students can also have access to the learner dashboard, which includes different graphs to show their current performance of their classes compared with the class average. It's easy for them to understand with a quick look how they're performing. And just like teachers, students can also see detailed reports of their own performance in individual activities, so that they can follow up with all the tasks easily, and then they can ask their students for help easily. And now let's have a look at Panopto, the platform that we use for capturing lectures and uploading learning videos. And as you can see from this graph, just like YouTube, they provide us data and graphs about the views and downloads of each learning videos. and also about the lectures, because sometimes our lectures may be over an hour or 2 hours, so that these data help us understand like which part of the video do they watch most, and whether they would like to have more explanation and support. And I think this graph really helped us to understand the viewer engagement of a single learning video. It shows all the time code, that whether students are rewatching that part, or if is there any part that a lot of students are rewatching, so that we can take a look at to see if we need to have more further elaboration on that part. And then it's great to have this data to show which part has the most comments or questions. So like this one, in minute 30, we see that there are lots of comments from our students, so that teachers can have a quick look and then go back to that video to see if students are asking some questions, so it's easy for them to follow up. And we can also see some data about our top viewers, so that we can follow up with the students who only watch only a small fraction of that video. And finally, for the platform Microsoft Teams, we use that a lot. Sometimes we use it like a few times a day to have our online lessons. And its insights tool help us to understand the engagement across multiple classes. Like we can understand whether this English class has a lot of active students during the day, and then they will show how many inactive students in that class, so that we can follow up easily. And a great tool for us is that it provides a spotlights that includes the spotlight about our students' behavior, like this one, whether some students was inactive last week. And this one is also great for us to understand is the individual habits of our students, like how many students often work on the assignment late at night, or if they have any other habits. So it's better for us to understand how they like to work, or like it can show that maybe some students may be inactive during the midweek, like Wednesday. We can understand whether they need to attend some part-time job or not. So it really helps us to understand our students more. And just like Moodle, teachers can have some assignments for our students in this platform. And this graph can show teachers about the class grades and the grades distribution clearly, so that we can give feedback and offer help to our students. And there are also one interesting feature called Reflect in Microsoft Teams that will ask our students questions, ask about their emotion state before or after a class, or after submitting their assignments, so that we understand their emotional state, which allow us to improve the effectiveness of their day-to-day interactions. And it also helps our students to recognize their emotions by providing regular opportunities to share their emotions and to be heard. And it also broadens our learners' emotional vocabulary and deepen the empathy for their peers. And while it provides valuable feedback to us, to teachers, for a healthy classroom community. And so after sharing with you all the platforms and tools that we use, I would like to share some of my personal views about the future of the learning analytics. And I think in the near future, there will be more customization of dashboard, graphs, and reports available for teachers in the learning analytic tools. Because right now, lots of the reports are preset by the software. And I think in the future, we can come up with different graphs and reports by dragging different variables, and to show correlations of different variables. It helps us to gain more insights. And I think this feature will come into the platform that I mentioned in Teleboard in the next academic year. So in the future, it will be great to have this tool, and I would love to share more with you. And apart from that, I think, as I mentioned, there are different tools in different platforms, and it's quite confusing for teachers and students. So it would be great for the software to have more centralization of all data from different sources into a single platform. And again, telling from in Teleboard, I think they and other platforms will have more of this function for us to upload the data into a single platform for analysis. And apart from that, I think in the future, predictive and prescriptive learning analytics will help us to predict our students' behavior and in particular, giving recommendations to us. First of all, for the predictive analysis, it's quite self-explanatory that predictions can be made and generated by the system and by the software based on some preset criteria, so that some auto alerts can be generated and sent to teachers or maybe to students for early intervention. I think it really helps us to forecast their future behavior based on the existing data. And I think some platforms that some foreign universities are using, and I'd like to hear from all of you if you have any experience with that, because we just started using learning analytics in our platform, so it's still early stage. So I think it will be great to discuss more about that. And the last prediction is that I think prescriptive learning analytics is the future, that through AI techniques like machine learning and algorithms, recommendations and advice can be made to teachers and students. Because right now, we usually just see the graphs and we try to predict and try to analyze and come up with the insights. But in the future, I think this prescriptive learning analytics can take out the guesswork out of the data learning analytics and automatically connecting all the dots for us. So that it is really helpful. But of course, I think despite the advancement of technology, I think we as educators are still important, because we have the professional knowledge and understanding of our students, so that I think this is just a tool to help us. I think at the end of the day, we still need to use our professional knowledge to analyze and to help our students. And I think this is the end of my presentation. And thank you very much for listening. And please feel free to email me at avery@vtc.edu.hk after this symposium. I know that at the time, the schedule is quite tight. So thank you very much again.
Okay. Thank you, Avery, for your brilliant presentation. There is a question in the chat box.
Yes.
Okay, from Kitty. So the insights function of MS Teams is great. Is there graphical data presentation, for example, pie chart available in MS Teams, similar to IntelliBoard? So Avery?
Yeah. I think right now, because this is not the tool that we use most common. So I guess in the future, I guess more graphs can be shown. But for now, more bar chart will be shown in a minute. And I think Microsoft Teams will keep testing different features, and I'm sure they're going to incorporate some of the different forms of graphs in the near future. And I think it will really help us to understand more. Yes, thank you for your questions.
Okay, thank you,
You're
Kitty.
welcome, Kitty.
Okay, thank you, Avery.
You're
so
welcome.
will there be any more questions? You can still leave question in the chat box, and Avery will be happy to answer later in the chat box. Okay, thank you once again for Avery's very good presentation.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Yes, okay.